Hey, so we are riding around town. We just gave out a quote. I just went to go pick up some hand clippers that we left at a property, and they're on the front porch, and I can literally see them like right inside the person's door. But she said the door was always unlocked, just the front of it. Like she's got like a screened-in front porch, and just the door to the porch, she said, was unlocked. And it seems like it was unlocked, but it was just kind of crappy because when I went to go open it, it seemed like there must have been something holding the door closed at the top. I don't know if you just gotta force it open, but I didn't want to break the door. So, anyways, now we're gonna go pick up a check from a client, and then since I was just quoting, I had this thought come to my head that I kind of wanted to share. I don't know if you guys have pricing somewhat, right? You guys have maybe seen our equipment. It's just push mowers. That's what we got. It's all push mowers. We don't have any of the 44-inch riders or anything like that. We don't have anything like that. So this kind of goes for people like who necessarily don't have all that equipment and whatnot. After you do some research in your area and you kind of figure out what people charge, and when I say people, I'm not talking about Joe down the street. I'm talking about, the companies, guys, that you see. So, do some research in your area, figure out, kind of what they're charging. And then there's something that I found that's very interesting. And obviously, charge according to your costs, be as fair as possible. But anyways, one thing I found that was really interesting was, especially with our setup versus their setup. In case you guys might know this phrase, it's economies of scale. So basically, kind of what that is the more supply you have, the more you can produce is going to lower your per unit costs, because you can get more volume out compared to someone who doesn't have the same scale or supply that you have. So basically, to try to explain this as simple as possible, there's times where pay attention to these people's yards, okay? And what I mean by that is, for instance, say they got a nice flat land, there's no gates, and it's nice and flat, okay? But it's a big yard, sizable yard, okay? These other guys, because of their setup, they can charge, in some cases, they can charge a lower price per cut, but earn a higher hourly rate than what we can because of economies of scale. Because they have so much more supply than we do, it drives their price. I just got a phone call. All right. Anyways. Yes. Open yard, they've got, the good equipment, and they can charge a higher hourly rate, but it's a smaller price per cut. And it's interesting because, especially when you get to some of these bigger open yards, you got to keep that in mind, because I've gotten to some of these yards and I tried to get what we need on these bigger yards, and it ends up being a higher cost to the customer per cut than the bigger guys, But on the flip side, the only time that they can get away with charging a higher hourly rate and it being less per cut to the customer compared to us is if they can use those riders on the whole lawn. One thing that I've found, and I've even had some people tell me before, that there's been times where your client's got a gate and you can only fit a push mower through it, or they've got hills that you can't get riding mowers on, and stuff like that. And when that happens, our prices are typically lower than everybody else, but we're getting what we need in that sense. So I kind of just thought that that was pretty interesting. There's it took me kind of until this year to really realize that. And when we get into these 30, 45-minute lawns for us, it's there's definitely you know, a learning curve for me that I'm still on what to charge, you know, because you want to get the client. Yes, you need to cover your costs, but if your costs are too high for that particular job to where you just price yourself out of the market, you know, that's something that can be changed at a later date as you get clients grow, and then you can get the economies of scale to work for you. But yeah, one thing that I found is really interesting is, you know, if you do have those riding lawn mowers and whatnot and you don't have a push mower, it's very expensive for you guys to pull out a push mower and do those yards, because you've got two $6,000, $8,000 lawnmowers, a 12x8 trailer on the back, and you pull up to a property and you can't even use it. So that's where kind of we benefit, is when people have gates, okay, and they got slopes. But if we come up to the yard and it's a big yard and it's flat, and we typically end up having a higher price than everybody else because of that economies of scale thing that I kind of tried to explain. So I just kind of wanted to share that. I hope it ended up working out. But just got a call from the crew, and stuff happens. Hopefully something was ran over by another mower and it was another piece of metal, but I don't think it did the same amount of damage as I did to the mower. Guy said he checked it out, said that the blade's just bent, or so it seems. So we'll see what comes of that when they come there and drop it off.